Movie House Cinemas, proud sponsors of Conversations with Gerry Kelly. Treat yourself to a movie. Relax in VIP recliner seating without the VIP price tag. At Cityside, Glengormley, Mackara and Coleraine. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to Conversations with me, Gerry Kelly. Undoubtedly, one of the best television dramas ever to have come out of Northern Ireland has got to be Blue Lights. With the third series just broadcast, this gripping drama has enjoyed universal critical acclaim. At its heart, it's the story of three rookie police officers working in a post-conflict Belfast. But make no mistake, Blue Lights is much more than just another cop show. A little later, we'll be meeting two of the stars of the show. But first, I'm delighted to welcome the writer of Blue Lights, Declan Lawn. Declan, it's great to see you. And first of all, huge congratulations.
Thank you.
A BAFTA.
A BAFTA.
How thrilled were you with that?
That was a surreal moment. When you go to the BAFTAs, you have no conception or idea before of who's going to win. So you find out at exactly the same moment the audience does,
Yeah.
and we didn't think we were going to win. Because there was a show there called Wolf Hall.
Yes.
A great show, a show that I loved, and I just felt that was the favourite. And we were there thinking, it's great to be here, what an experience, let's enjoy it. But when they called out our name, it was one of the strangest and most unforgettable moments.
Really?
So for the first, let's say, couple of minutes, I was so shocked that I wasn't nervous. So I go up onto the stage, all these famous faces in front of me, didn't feel nervous. Did my little speech, thanked the people of Belfast, walked off into the side room where they actually give you a BAFTA, and at that point I literally fell apart, started hyperventilating. And I remember saying to Adam, who was with me, he's my co-writer, I was like, thank God that didn't happen 3 minutes ago. It was surreal. And even now, today, we have the award, the trophy in our office, and sometimes we just look at it and go,
Is it ours?
can you
Is it
believe
ours? Yeah,
that
is it
happened?
ours?
Totally unexpected.
Blue Lights, richly deserved, because Blue Lights, it's really a drama of today, isn't it? You
Yeah.
couldn't have written this 10, 15 years ago.
I don't think it would have been commissioned 10 or 15 years ago. Even when it was commissioned, it felt like a touchy, divisive subject. I didn't want to make it in the start.
So who suggested it? Let's make a drama about the PSNI.
So Louise Gallagher is a producer in Belfast. We had worked with her on a short film. And Louise had been knocking this idea around with a guy called Stephen Wright, who was then the head of drama in the BBC in BBC Northern Ireland for maybe 4 or 5 years. And as we were finishing that short film with Louise, working with her on it, she said, guys, I've got this idea. It's a show about response cops in Northern Ireland, specifically about a social worker who becomes a response cop. She knew somebody who'd done that. And Adam and I said, no, not for us. It's too divisive. It's a hot potato. A lot of people will just dislike it because it's about the police.
Yeah.
So Louise then said to us, okay, well, I know 3 response officers personally. Would you at least go and meet the 3 of them, have a cup of coffee, listen to what they have to say, and if you come to me at the end of that week and say, we still don't want to do it, we'll go our separate ways. And after the 3rd meeting, Adam and I had completely changed our minds.
What convinced you?
All of the things that they were telling us that we didn't know. So I had encountered the police as a journalist, but I didn't think much about their job. And if I saw them coming down the street, I would see 2 uniforms, not 2 people.
Yes.
Same as most people, I
Yes.
think. They were telling us about the threat that comes home with them, checking under their cars, the burden of having a firearm in the house, sometimes when there's children around. How close do you keep it? Do you lock it away? But if you do that, it's, you can't get to it.
Yeah.
They were telling us about the extraordinary levels of everyday violence that they encounter, being in fights, what we would consider a fight, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And they were talking to us about the frustrations of the job, and the rationale why they do it. And I saw in that rationale something quite hopeful, that a lot of them genuinely seemed to say, like, we're trying to do good, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
So anyway, Adam and I came away from that third meeting and we said to each other, right, screenwriters never get a chance to tell a story about their own place in their own time and their own voice. You're always writing about somewhere else, let's say almost all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And we thought we can either be brave here and be courageous and tell a story about Northern Ireland, a post-conflict society, talk about all of the mundane stuff, the mental health crisis, lack of resources, drug abuse, or we can walk away from this opportunity and go and make an action movie somewhere. And so we just thought, let's be brave, let's do it.
Well, you were, and you avoided the orange and green sort of issues.
We tried to, yeah.
Yeah, and you did that. Incorporated them in a way, but very successfully incorporated in a way, because that is what Belfast is today.
Yeah, so in Series 1 of the show, we're essentially in a nationalist community,
Yeah.
and Series 2
Yes.
a loyalist community. But it was really important for me not to be judgmental of people's opinions. I spent 16 years as a journalist sitting with loyalists, with Republicans, with people in the middle. And I think maybe what I came away thinking, let's not judge anyone for the opinions they hold. They're valid and they're a form of their truth. It's what gets them up in the morning. And I wanted to bring that into Blue Lights. I didn't want to condescend or look down on anyone or say, you're wrong.
Yes, yes.
That was really important to me.
Were you restricted at all by the PSNI? Was there anything they said, don't want you to go there?
No, so that relationship is an interesting one. I would say it's cordial, but it's arm's length. So
It's not a recruitment campaign for the PSNI.
Oh, definitely not. And I think anyone who watches the show would say it is critical of the police at times. They make mistakes. There are a few bad apples. Have they dealt with the past sufficiently? Like we deal with all the difficult, naughty stuff. So I would say the relationship with them is they give us access to police uniforms, real police uniforms, and sometimes they lend us police cars. But they've never, ever once said, what are you writing about? And please don't write about this. Or they've never got back after a series has gone out to criticise it.
Really?
Which I think is pretty impressive. Now, what they have said, what they've found on the ground, is that the show seems to be humanising their officers.
Yes.
Like when I was saying my own opinion was, I see two uniforms walking towards me. These days I look at their faces and I think of them as people. And the police seem to be finding that on the ground, that because of the show, people are treating them slightly differently.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's been said to me by multiple officers.
Yeah, the Series 3, the series that's just gone out,
Yeah.
that's really character-led rather than plot-led
It
in
is,
many ways. And
Yeah,
that's
very much.
important. We have got to know these rookies
Yes.
intimately.
Yeah, and character writing is everything to me. I think that if you have a show where you love the characters and you care about the characters and they're played by really good actors, you're going to be invested in that show in a way that you won't if it's just plots and twists and
Where did this
turns.
come from in your mind? Because we all know you as an investigative journalist
Yeah.
for years. Surely the talent required for investigative journalism is a million miles away from creative writing.
So that's a very long story, but I'm going to give you the short version. So I had always wanted to write in some way as maybe a short story writer or try and write a novel whilst I was being a journalist. And I never had the courage. Every time I tried to write something, I would look at it the next morning and be embarrassed by it and feel it was shallow. And I felt I wanted to do it, but in a weird way, I thought the idea that I'll do it in the future was more comforting to me than actually having to try and do it.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of years in that dichotomy, wanting to write but not doing it. Two things in my life changed that. One was, and they both happened within 3 weeks of each other. My dad died of cancer, right, aged 57. And that really brought home to me that you don't know how long your life is going to be. So you better not be thinking, I'll do something someday.
Years down, yeah.
So that hit me hard. And then 3 weeks later, on my first day back at work in Panorama, this new kid from Northern Ireland joined the office. He's like 7 years younger than me, Adam Patterson. He'd been a photographer for 10 years. He was working cameras, and he was a producer. And as I got to know him over the next couple of years, he was saying to me, I'd love to make a short film. And I said to him, I'd love to write one. And that is where we started.
Well,
so it was a confluence of events.
The two of you together, you've made an absolute
Thank you.
masterpiece in this. When can we see the fourth series?
So we're going to start filming the fourth series next month, February 2026. It takes 4 months to film, about three more months to edit. So I would expect October, November of this year.
Can't wait. Declan, congratulations and thank you so much indeed.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we're going to meet a couple of the stars of the show shortly, but first of all, let's just remind ourselves of Blue Lights.
Uniform from 7-2, responding.
Call coffee.
Do I look like a babysitter? God, no.
Call lunch. Call home.
Yeah, just that.
I have a feeling it's about to get a lot more complicated.
You're very sexy when you're angry. Just gorgeous altogether.
You're going after the cops. That's a big move.
We have an imminent, incredible threat.
Oh, you look fancy.
Ashley, are you okay?
Can you stop asking me that?
You're looking at me like you don't even know me.
Maybe I never really have.
Smashy, breaky.
I think it's called forced entry.
We're all friends here.
Promise me you won't ever get bitter or cynical.
I'm so proud of you.
When I first started this job, I thought I knew everything. And now I feel like I don't know anything at all.
See you tomorrow, Skipper.
Well, joining me now are two of the stars of Blue Lights, local actor Nathan Braniff, who plays Constable Tommy Foster, and Constable Grace Ellis, played by the wonderful Sian Brooke. It's lovely to see the pair of you. Away from your police costumes, it has to be said.
I know we're in our civvies.
Those police costumes look terribly cumbersome.
Yeah, they are. I remember the first time, way back for Series 1, when we went in for costume fittings. And I remember that they gave us the base layers, the trousers, and then there was like a sort of base layer with a zip. And then they give you a coat, and then they gave you an outer coat, and then they put the flat jacket on, and then they give you the belt, and then you put all of the apparatus that goes on, the radio, this, and the truncheon and everything. And I was like, how do you move in this, let alone run?
Well, what you do, you become an expert like Tommy, a kickboxing expert, a jiu-jitsu expert. So all the chasing's no bother to you and all the uniform, was it?
Well, I'm not sure about expert, but I can run like if I need to run, you know.
Even with all that on you?
Yeah, you know what it is? For me, the trickiest part is, see, trying to get your seatbelt on and off with that. You're like trying to plug your seatbelt into your gun holster and you're trying to get it off, and all while the body's getting away, you know, so...
It's so true. And then also you have these action sequences where you have to get out of the car and take your seatbelt off. But most of the time you take your seatbelt off and the gun holster will get stuck and you're sort of like, hang on, hang on. Yeah, so no, those uniforms are not practical.
No.
Did you have any inkling whatsoever, way back at the start, how special the show was going to be?
You know, you make these shows and you have no idea really how it will be received. I think personally I remember reading the scripts and I knew that the writing was really special. I knew that these characters were brilliantly formed, and I knew that a lot of craft had gone into making this world with care. So I was excited about that, and I was excited to play this woman. But no, I had no idea.
When did it dawn on you that this is taking off?
Well, I think it kind of happened in stages, you know. I remember reading the scripts at the start and, you know, obviously having lived in Belfast all my life, bar a few years, thinking that I wasn't sure if the language and the colloquial stuff was going to carry, you know, to England or the rest of the UK. And so then the first series came out and it did carry. But it didn't quite stop there. It then carried on.
And carried.
Yeah, and now, you know, you be all over the place wherever you are in the world. It's not unheard of somebody to come up and be like, oh, you're Blue Lights. You
this
know?
Is your first big TV role.
Yeah, the first
What a
series.
role! What a role to get.
I know. It's been completely insane. I remember when my agent sent me through the audition.
Sorry, tell me, where were you when you got news?
So I was in. My mum and dad own a fish and chip shop, like a takeaway and restaurant, and I was home from London for Christmas, and I was working the obligatory Christmas shift in the shop.
In Glengormley?
In Glengormley, yeah. And I sort of had an inkling that there was a phone call coming at some stage, you know, to tell me whether I had got it or not. And I seen my agent, Joe, his number popped up on the phone, and I ran outside, and I think my mum and dad were sort of left there looking at each other. And he said to me, "Nathan, how would you like to play the role of Tommy Foster?" So I went crazy. I was, "What? Yes, 100%. And my mum and dad then must have heard me screaming, because they ran out of the shop after me. I was like, "Nathan, what's going on? What's going on?" And I put Joe then on speaker and said, "Joe, could you say that for me again?" And they were like, "Oh, Nathan, how would you like to play the role of Tommy?" And then my mum and dad started screaming as well. So that's
and free fish and chips all night.
Well, I don't know about that, Jerry, but
what was it like coming in as that young rookie actor with experience and seasoned actors like Sian and Marty McCann and Michael Smiley and so on?
I mean, again, like, so fortunate, you know, and I was lucky enough, sort of, my main partner in the story was Richard Dormer, who, you know, as you say,
they killed off very quickly.
They did, but a seasoned vet, you know, when it comes to acting. And it was really interesting, the first series, because in a lot of ways we were able to play off the fact that, you know, I was sort of, you know, obviously a rookie cop in the show, but in a lot of ways a rookie to this new professional industry, you know. So it was an interesting dynamic to get the
you couldn't work with much better people than
100%. No, I've been so fortunate, you know, because there's only so much that drama school can teach you. Yes. The rest you have to work out when you're on set. Yeah. And so to have, you know, people like Sian in your corner and, you know, in scenes with you and sort of learning from them, it's been unbelievable.
Sian, it must be so gratifying as an actor to have a part, to be in a series that has got such worldwide acclaim at this stage.
It's phenomenal. It really is. And you saying earlier, when did you, you know, sort of click in terms of how popular it was? And it was a slow burn at the start. Now it's just, I don't know, every step of the way you have a pinch me moment. But this series that has come out, the series 3, as I don't know, people are on board with this even more.
Yes, because one of the reasons I think is because we are now getting to know you people. You had a lovely quote once, because your dad was a policeman. And the quote was, I wrote it down, something like, "You see your dad in the uniform, not the uniform on your dad."
Absolutely.
So explain that to us.
Well, it's only doing this show have I realised that through my life, seeing police officers when I was growing up, I didn't see the uniform, I saw the human, because my dad was my dad, who happened to do a job that was policing, and his uniform was in the wardrobe at home, but he was my lovely, cuddly, wonderful dad, yes. Caring dad. And so I didn't have, there was a somewhat of a barrier, but not the same. And now I realise that actually people see the job and the car and the uniform more. And that was, that was a big draw for me in this show, was that I remember reading the script and just thinking, this reminds me so much of my dad's friends and the banter and the friendships they had and the stuff that I saw growing up when they would have cracked a case or whatever and come home and be chatting about it. And I thought that Declan and Adam had just sort of nailed that perfectly.
They certainly did in Series 3, didn't they, when we're now looking at you as people rather than as policemen.
Yeah, but I always think, for me, I'm always drawn to character-driven drama. I will always be, because I feel as an actor that's why we go into it, be able to just develop these characters and have the time to craft them. And that's what this show is. It just happens to be that they do the job of policing.
And you had a double responsibility in your role because you were once a social worker who joined the police. So you had that sort of double responsibility to get things right.
Yeah, but I love that. You see, what I love about my job is that it places me into so many different worlds and privy to different occupations, and I think I'm a bit of a nerd in that respect, in that I love the research part of it. So being able to sort of spend time with people, you know, so I will have, in this, you know, this show, I've chatted to numerous police officers, I've chatted to social workers, I've chatted to kids that have grown up in care and spent time with them, and they have, and it's a very humbling and wonderful thing that somebody will sit with you and be so honest in the stories that they share with you, in order for you to then go away and take a little bit of this and a little bit of that in order to create this world. And I feel that's a really wonderful thing to do, and, you know, forever changing and chopping, you know, in terms of the different places that you might go to.
Nathan, you had a lot of personal research to do on this because it had to be right. And especially for a Northern Ireland audience, it had to be right.
Yep.
We all know the history of the police here, from the old RUC to the PSNI. You would have been aware of that. You would have been aware of how people view the PSNI now. So things had to be authentic. How did you get that authenticity? I know the writing helped, but there must have been other aids.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. It has to be authentic, you know. You can't be making anything up with such a, you know, a sensitive matter at times in Northern Ireland. For me, that meant, you know, spending time with the real guys who really do the job. And like Sian mentioned, you know, some of the stories that these guys and girls were willing to share with us was incredible, you know, and very, very eye-opening, Gerry, in terms of, I suppose, in terms of what it takes to be able to do the job. You know, it takes a lot from these people. It's not an easy job to do. And yeah, that I guess the authenticity, it does come from the research and, you know, not pulling things out of thin air.
Even getting the words right, how you react to
for sure.
At the beginning, that was, do you remember, like, all of the abbreviations? It's sort of like, can we just do that again? Can we do, you know, whilst travelling at speed down country lanes and trying to do all the, you know, the jargon and everything?
Yeah.
That takes a bit of time.
We're pretty fortunate, though. We had a police advisor on set at all times, you know, so if there was ever any questions or queries, we went straight to him and said, you know, listen, how would I put the handcuffs on in this situation, or you know,
or not be able to put the handcuffs on.
Yeah, which
because
was
they
usually
are tricky.
the problem.
Handcuffs are notoriously tricky.
Yeah.
And so I am always glad when I can read a scene and somebody's getting arrested and I'm not putting the handcuffs on them, because it's, you know.
Especially because, like, in real life, you know, I'm sure the police officers are not too worried about not hurting whoever's hands they're putting the handcuffs onto. But we have to go and have lunch with these guys in the canteen afterwards, so. Like, oh, is that okay? Is that right? Or
all these actors go, did I hurt you? I hope I didn't hurt you.
Yeah.
Series 3 was wonderful. Series 4 has been commissioned. You're starting to shoot it very, very soon. Could you share with us anything that's about to happen in Series 4?
You probably know just as much as I do.
Really?
No.
Yeah. Are you kept in the dark as such?
Yeah, and thank gosh, I don't have to write it. I have that
responsibility.
responsibility.
I'll tell you what's going to happen. We're going to have to get your girlfriend.
Okay, she's coming back, you reckon?
She's back. Oh,
nice.
Absolutely. That club that Dana runs.
Yeah.
Going to have to get that sorted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anything else we need to sort here before?
Oh, gosh.
There's a few storylines.
You and Mark. You and Stevie.
And maybe a nice trip to Barbados as well, maybe, on tour. Just like, can we do that?
You and Stevie. You've grown to love Belfast, haven't you, in Northern Ireland?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
It's like a second home now, for goodness sake.
It really is. I mean, I was, you know, for the last 3 years, I spend half of the year here, travelling back and forth, and I feel very attached to Belfast and the people. I'm very protective of it. It's really, but you know, the first time around, whenever you go anywhere, you're always a bit, you know, trying to get your bearings and everything. But now, I get off that plane, and it's like I'm sort of home from home.
That's lovely to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being my guest tonight.
Thank you.
Can I say that I reckon Blue Lights is the best drama ever to come out of Northern Ireland.
Wow.
And it's thanks to people like you that have made it so special.
Well, thank you very much.
Those are very kind words. Thank you.
Can't wait to Series 4.
Yeah.
Sian and Nathan, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.